So this is Lesson Master 8.4, and we're going to be evaluating different arithmetic series. So I think it might be helpful to put our formulas at the top of the page. S sub n is n divided by 2 times the first term plus the last term. That's the formula that I'll use if I know the first and last term. If I don't know the first and last term, I can use my formula 2a sub 1 plus the constant difference times n minus 1. Alright, so let's go through and evaluate each of these. Evaluate this series. So I'm adding up the first 6 terms. So s sub 6 equals 6 divided by 2. Notice these always match. The first term would be 3 times 1, which is 3, minus 5. So a sub 1 would be 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. The last term, which would be a sub 6, would be 3 times 6 is 18, minus 5 is 13. So I get 3 times 11, and I get 33. That is definitely faster than finding all 6 terms and adding them up. Let's go to number 2. I'm going to add the first 5 terms. So s sub 5 is 5 divided by 2. The first term, all right, let's see, when I put a 1 in here, 2 times 1 plus 3 is 5. Put the fifth term in there, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So I end up with 2.5 times 18. Put that in my calculator, and I get my answer. All right, number 3. I'm going to add up the first 7 terms. So s sub 7 is 7 divided by 2. The first term is negative 5 minus a fourth times 1. So negative 5 minus a quarter. I'm going to put this in my calculator as 0.25. So I end up with negative 5.25 plus negative 5 minus a quarter times 7. I'll put that in my calculator. I've got negative 5 minus a quarter times 7. Negative 6.75. So I end up with 3.5 times, that's going to be negative 6.75 plus negative 5.25. I get negative 12. And I'll multiply those and I'll get my final answer, 3.5 times negative 12. Right, the sum of the first 50 positive integers. So s sub 50, so that's 50 divided by 2. The first positive integer is 1. The last positive integer of the first 50 is 50. So I just end up with 25 times 51. And I get my final answer. All right, let's go to number 5. I'm going to add up the first 500 terms. So s sub 500 is 500 divided by 2. The first term would be 23 times 1, which is 23. The 500th term would be 23 times 500, which is 11,500. So I end up with 250 times 11,523. I'll put that in my calculator and I'll get my final answer. Okay, let's go to number 6. The first 200 terms. All right, so s sub 200 is 200 divided by 2. The first term will be 17 minus 2 times 1. 17 minus 2 is 15. And the last term is going to be 17 minus 2 times 200. 17 minus 2 times 200, negative 383. So I end up with 100 times negative 383 plus 15 is negative 368. And then I'll get my final answer when I multiply that. All right, let's go to number 7. The sum of the smallest k positive multiples of 5 is 275. Find k. All right, so the sum of the smallest k positive multiples of 5 is 275. So I don't know what k is, so I'm going to do number 7 right here. So s sub k, I don't know what k is, so it's going to be k divided by 2. The first positive multiple of 5 has to be 5. And the last one has to be whatever 5 times k is. And I know that I want my sum to be 275, so this right here is 275. Okay. So I'm going to distribute this. 275 equals, I have 5 over 2 is 2.5k plus 2.5k squared. So this looks like a quadratic. So I'm going to move, remember quadratics in order to solve them have to be set equal to 0. So 0 equals, and I'm going to write this in descending order, 2.5k squared plus 2.5k. I subtracted that 275 to bring it to this side. All right. I'm not liking this 2.5. I'm wondering if I could factor it out. Let me see if 275 can be divided by 2.5. Oh, and it can. So if I factor out a 2.5, meaning each of these I'm dividing by 2.5 and I'm pulling it out to the front, I get k squared plus k, and then I know that's 110. So all I need to do then is factor this. And right away when I see 110, I realize that's 11 times 10. Well, if I use 11 and 10, since I want 1k, this could be positive and this could be negative, which means k is negative 11 or k is 10. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know that I was off the screen. And because of that, well, I know that you can't have a negative number of terms, so positive 10 must be what k is. And I can check it by seeing, what if I added up the first 10, since k would be 10, multiples of 5? That would mean s sub 10 is 10 divided by 2. The first multiple of 5 is 5. The 10th multiple of 5 is 50. So I end up with 5 times 55. And if I put that into my calculator, 5 times 55, I get 275, which is what I wanted. I wanted the first 10 multiples to equal 275. Right, let's go to number 8. To build up strength, Arnold started an exercise program in which he did 10 repetitions of bicep curls with each arm 3 times each week. He began lifting 10-pound weights. So the first week he lifted a total of 10 reps times 2 arms times 3 times, did I get all that? Times 10 pounds. I know that sounds crazy. He didn't actually lift 600 pounds, but they're counting each rep, like every time he does a rep, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, like that. So that's why it's 10 reps. I'm going to write down what these each stand for. This is 10 reps. This is 2 arms. This is 3 times. and this is 10 pounds. That's week 1. Okay, so this is week 1, which means week 2, he added 1 additional pound to the weights each week. So still 10 reps, 2 arms, 3 times, 11 pounds. So if you use your calculator, 10 times 2 times 3 times 11, 660 pounds that he lifted total week 2. So week 3, he's going to lift 10 reps, 2 arms, 3 times, 12. Let's see, 10 times 2 times 3 times 12, 720 pounds. So I don't know if you realize, but from here to here is 60, from here to here is 60. Let's see if the pattern continues. Week 4, 10 reps, 2 arms, 3 times, 13. 10 times 2 times 3 times 13, 780 pounds. Yes. So this is definitely an arithmetic sequence. So S sub, do I know how many weeks? 21 weeks. What is the total amount of weight Arnold lifted during this 21-week period? S sub 21 is 21 divided by 2. I don't know what he lifted the last week, so I'm going to use the formula S sub n equals n divided by 2, 2 times the first term, plus the constant difference times n minus 1. I'm going to use this formula instead for this problem. 2 times the first week. We know that the first week he lifted 600 pounds. 2 times 600, because remember we said that 600 was week 1, plus the constant difference is 60, n minus 1. Since n is 21, n minus 1 is 20. So now all I have to do is put all of this in my calculator. I know half of 21 is 10.5. This is going to be 1200. This is also going to be 1200. So I can put all this in my calculator and I'll get my final answer of how many total pounds Arnold lifted. Now, I would like to note that I could have, if I had wanted to, I could have used the other formula, because as I keep reading the problem, I notice that it says that he kept doing this until he reached a total of 30 pounds, which means if I had wanted to use the original formula, S sub n equals n divided by 2, first term plus the last term, S sub 21 is 21 divided by 2. I know he lifted 600 pounds the first week. And I know the last week he would have lifted 10 times, that's 10 reps times 2 arms times 3 times the 30. The last week he would have lifted 1,800 pounds. So I could have said 10.5 times 2,400, which is the same thing that I end up with here, 10.5 times 2,400. So I could have figured out the last week, since it said that he added 1 additional pound to the weights until he reached a total of 30 pounds. So that's how I know it's 10 times 2 times 3 times 30. Just another way. I want you to see that there's not always just one way to do a problem.